A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Countdown for blastoff. X minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 would-be worlds. The National Broadcasting Company presents X minus 1. Tonight's story, The Man in the Moon.
Attention. Attention. This is the Federal Bureau of Missing Persons calling all local agencies. Attention. This is a coded report nationwide. Missing since 9 o'clock this morning the following persons: Smigley Jonathan, 5 feet 8 inches tall, brown hair, brown eyes, mastoid scar behind right ear, last seen wearing blue top coat and tan cap, wanted by Los Angeles... Hello, get off this wavelength. This is a restricted band.
Hello, Earth.
Whoever you are, you're on a coded wavelength. Tune out. This frequency is reserved for the Federal Bureau of Missing Persons.
Hello, Earth. This is the moon calling Earth. Hello, Earth.
This guy's loony.
This is Jake in transmission.
Jake, this Charlie of the code room. Some crackpot is on our frequency.
Yeah, I heard him, Charlie. I've got CQ trying to trace the source now. We should have a triangulation any second.
Well, hurry it up, will you? Some ham is in for a good stiff fine by the FCC.
Yeah, they ought to take his license away. Oh, here comes Lenny with the directional fix.
Right.
Thanks, Lenny. Hey, what's this? This is impossible.
What's going on down there? How about it? Get that ham out of my kilocycles.
Now, listen, Charlie, unless this is a gag, that interference is being beamed from 240,000 miles away.
Oh, now, Jake, you know there ain't no such thing as 240,000 miles away.
Yes, there is, Charlie. Straight up.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
Charlie, that signal is coming from the moon.
Are you nuts?
Well, somebody might be bouncing it like a radar signal.
Radar on this frequency? Where'd you study basic radio?
Now, listen, Flathead, you asked for a fix. I gave the best fix our instruments can find. Take it or leave it. Somebody on the moon is calling the Bureau of Missing
Well, what's the sweat, Charlie? Shouldn't you be broadcasting?
Listen, Mr. Timpkin. You know I'm a sober citizen, right?
Hmm?
Never once have I broadcast with the smell of alcohol on my breath, right?
Right.
In all your 12 years here at the Bureau, did I once
What's
ever...
the matter, Charlie?
We're picking up a message on our wavelength.
Did you report to the FCC?
I ain't got the nerve.
Well, what's wrong?
You'll scream when you hear this, Mr. Timpkin. You'll jump right out the window, but... We are getting an SOS from the moon. Well, that's it. He started on voice and switched to Morse. The way the signal repeats sounds like a phonograph record or automatic sender of some sort.
Well, what's it say?
Let's see here. Can you read me? Help. Otterburn. Will contact when moon is in phase.
Let's have that again.
Can you read me? Help. Otterburn. Will contact when moon is in phase.
Otterburn.
That sounds like a name, huh?
Otterburn. Wait a minute.
Something registered?
Cornelius Otterburn. Holy jumping, hold it back.
Hey, where are you going?
Talk to the chief.
Hey, wait a minute. What are you going to tell him? We just got a CQ from the man in the moon?
That's exactly what I am going to tell him, Charlie.
Oh, this is just too much for me.
Washington Star Ledger.
Let me have O'Brien on city desk.
A moment.
O'Brien?
Seamus,
Yeah?
Charlie Starbuck down at the Missing Persons Bureau. You want a hot one? No kidding. This'll cost you a beer, okay?
All right, shoot, Noodle Brain. I'll stay on your wavelength for 30 seconds.
Okay. We just got a radio message from the moon.
Yep. What?
From the moon.
Call me back when you're sober.
Okay, Seamus, if you don't know a story when you see one,
I'll send you the name of a good psychiatrist. So long, Orson Welles.
How do you like that? You don't believe me.
Otterburn, Mr. Wade. Now, does that name ring a bell?
You're the man with the photographic memory, Henry. What about Otterburn?
Cornelius Otterburn, atomic physicist, reported missing from his home in Baltimore on June 5th, 1945, just 5 years ago. Vanished completely.
Are you trying to tell me you really think there's something to this man-on-the-moon business? Henry, I'm surprised at you. This is some crackpot trying to jam the airwaves.
Yes, but the name Otterburn is so unusual.
So are a lot of names.
And I have a theory that...
I was afraid of that. Henry, you always have a theory. Let's see, what was it last year? Oh, yes. That people disappear in occupational psych.
But it's true.
Please, Henry, I'm a busy man. You expect me to believe that this Otterburn is sitting up on the moon, sending out shortwave messages?
Well, he might be on Earth bouncing the messages off the moon. But who's to say he isn't on the moon?
Henry, as chief of this bureau, I have my hands full trying to coordinate reports from 48 states and Alaska. I have no time to include the moon.
But, Mr. Wade...
Out, Henry.
But, Mr. Wade...
Out, I'm busy.
Yes.
Oh, here. Take this folder of reports for the dead file.
Yes.
And no more nonsense, eh, Henry?
Yes.
I appreciate that you have a very dull job filing old missing persons reports, and I appreciate that you take an active interest in the affairs of the Bureau. But no more nonsense, huh?
No, sir. No more nonsense.
Pardon me.
Hmm?
You are Mr. Henry Timken.
That's my name.
Permit me, Jefferson Philo, scientific feature writer.
Oh, how do you do? Oh, are you a newspaper man?
Not exactly. I write as a hobby. Occasionally the papers give me leads on an assignment. If I may have a moment of your time.
Oh, well, certainly. Just sit down at my desk over here.
Thank you. My, that's quite a stack of papers.
Filing. I'm the records custodian of the Bureau. 12 years and never misplaced a record.
Magnificent. I admire the precise mind, Mr.
Timken.
Of course. Now, Mr. Timken, Mr. O'Brien, the editor of the Star Ledger, said I might drop by and investigate a rumor. Only a rumor, mind you. That a message from the, moon?
Well, we aren't certain it's from the moon. It may be a bounce. They have bounced radar waves off the moon, you know.
Yes, I know. I wrote the first newspaper article on it.
Really? I'd be interested to read it.
I must have a copy in my briefcase.
Well, don't bother.
Oh, but I insist. Oh, yes. There you are. I'll leave it on your desk.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, about this message from the moon, Mr. Timken.
Well, now, we don't know for sure, as I said. But I believe that this message, wherever it originates, is from Cornelius Otterburn.
The physicist?
Oh, do you know him?
I once wrote an article on his contributions in nuclear mechanics. A brilliant man, Otterburn. Years ahead of his contemporaries.
Well, whoever is sending those signals, if he isn't on the moon, is at least using the moon as a sounding board, bouncing the signal.
But why, Mr. Timken? Why?
Well, if you will come here tomorrow night at 8, Mr. Philo, we may learn the answer to that question. I've arranged with Charlie, our radio man, to let me use the equipment.
May I consider this an invitation?
You certainly may.
Very well, sir. Until tomorrow night, then.
Goodbye, Mr. Philo. Let's see now. Aiken, Abelard, Abramson, Rono, Hatch. Well, that's funny. Now, where did this list of names come from? Paul Aarons, astromathematician. Robert Simons, electronic engineer. Carl Parker, mining specialist. Well, this must have got mixed up with the papers on my desk by accident. Peculiar list of names. Oh, good morning, Charlie.
Oh, hi, Mr. Timken. See, we made the papers.
Oh?
And how? And as the chief steamed up about it, he really gave me what for.
What did the paper say?
Oh, mostly ha-ha. Here's the Herald. Listen. Man on the moon contacts Missing Persons Bureau. Missing atomic scientists sitting on the moon, say Bureau experts, etc., etc. What a panning.
Well, no wonder Mr. Wade is hopping.
Say, about tonight, Mr. Timken, I don't
Now,
know.
you promised you'd give me a key to the radio room.
Yeah, but I didn't expect
Well,
it.
I'll take full responsibility with Mr. Wade.
It's time for the morning broadcast. We got quite a list today.
Well, mind if I listen a while? We may hear Otterburn.
Why, ain't self-conscious. Just stick around.
Yes.
Attention. Attention. This is the Federal Missing Persons Bureau calling all local agencies. Nationwide. This is a coded broadcast. The following persons are missing. Aarons, Dr. Paul, 5'5", brown hair, brown eyes, scar on left side of chin, thick glasses.
Aarons.
Occupation, astromathematician. Missing since 6 o'clock this morning. Being sought by Bel Air police.
Charlie.
Repeat, Dr. Paul
Charlie,
Aarons.
turn it off a second.
Hold it. Delay 1 minute. Listen, Mr. Timken, it's okay to stay, but you can't interrupt
Now,
us.
this is important. Did you say Dr. Aarons was reported missing this morning?
6 a.m. We got the report from Bel Air less than an hour ago.
Are you certain, Charlie?
Positive. What is this?
Charlie, what's the next name on the list?
Let's see. Simons, Robert, engineer.
What?
Came in less than 20 minutes ago.
20?
Hey, what's the matter with you? You look like you've seen a ghost.
It's nothing, Charlie, except that last night, quite by accident, someone left a list of names on my desk. And that list included the names of those 2 men who were reported missing within the last hour.
What? Oh, that don't sound right to me.
Well, it isn't right, Charlie. It leaves a big question to be answered. Who would make up a list of missing persons before they were missing, not after?
And you say this list of names was left on your desk accidentally?
Well, I believe so, Mr. Wade.
Do you have any ideas, Henry?
Well, it's hard to say. Mr. Philo left some papers from his briefcase.
Mr. Philo?
Well, a science feature writer.
I see. You were the leak on that story, then?
Yes, sir, I'm afraid I was. I didn't think it would be treated as a laughing matter.
Well, we'll deal with that later.
Yes, sir.
What's this Philo like?
Well, he's a strange old duck, bald, thick glasses, tall. He walks stooped over. Seems to know a great deal about scientific data, but, of course, being a science writer...
Is there any other possibility?
I believe that this is all hooked up with the broadcast from Otterburn.
That seems to be a very remote possibility.
Well, the Missing Persons Bureau deals in remote possibilities, Mr. Wade.
I do not require a statement of policy.
Yes, sir.
What's the theory?
Well, for some time now, it has been my contention that in a country like ours, where even the cleverest criminal can be ferreted out and located eventually, there is no such thing as a missing person.
I was afraid of that.
For 12 years now, I have kept the central files, where information from all over the country is channeled and recorded. I have made a private study.
This is beginning to sound familiar, Henry.
And I have discovered that each year, literally thousands of persons vanish, leaving no trace. They are never located. Where do they go? Nobody knows. And they disappear in interesting cycles.
What sort of cycles?
Occupations, for example. 1 year we'll have a run on, well, say, coal miners. Next year, the proportion of engineers increases. And then scientists. And
what do you think happens, Henry?
I don't know, Mr. Wade, but I'm beginning to suspect that somebody else has discovered the same phenomenon, even to the point, perhaps, of being able to predict who will turn up among the missing next.
Philo?
Well, I don't know. But I would like to find out.
And you think Otterburn may be a part of this picture?
Mr. Wade, I definitely do.
Henry, do you honestly expect me to buy an idea like that?
It is more than an idea. The 2 top men on this list are missing, and...
Maybe so, but the rest of them aren't. Parker, Watson, Gibbs. Why, I saw Parker in the restaurant where I had lunch today.
Yes, but...
And if you think I'm going to make myself a laughingstock by accepting such a crack-brained theory...
Well,
Excuse me.
Yes.
Hello, Wade speaking. Yes? Yes? I see. What name? Just a moment. Henry, let me see that list again.
Here you are, sir.
Go ahead. I see. I'll get back to you. I guess I owe you an apology, Henry.
Sir?
Carl Parker was just reported missing.
Parker?
3rd man on your list.
Holy mackerel.
Exactly. Henry, for a good many years now, I've ridiculed these theories of yours. I don't know. Perhaps I've underestimated you. Maybe this time you've really stumbled onto something.
What do you intend to do, Mr. Wade?
I don't know. I haven't thought it out yet.
I was planning to listen for another broadcast tonight in the hope that Otterburn might try to contact us again.
Good idea. I believe I'll join you.
I also invited Mr. Philo, the feature writer.
Oh? I'll be glad to meet him. I'm beginning to get interested in you, Mr. Philo.
Mr. Wade, you don't think...
That he's mixed up in this?
Yes.
I don't know, Henry. But it suddenly strikes me that we don't know very much about him, really.
He ought to contact the police.
No, Henry. I think we're better off keeping this between ourselves for the moment. We're dealing with the unknown. And in solving an equation for the X factor, it's often easier to limit the number of terms. You follow me?
I don't know, Mr. Wade.
There may be more danger in what you have discovered than you are aware of. Let's keep it quiet. You agree?
Maybe you're right, Mr. Wade. I haven't thought of the danger involved.
8 o'clock. Mr. Filer was late.
Well, he said he'd be here. He strikes me as a man who keeps appointments.
Look out the window.
Yes.
The moon is almost in direct phase. Can't wait much longer.
Well, it's a perfectly clear night for transmission. If anybody's sending, we ought to pick it up with this equipment.
You'd better switch on the set.
Yes. I never realized how eerie this office could be when it was empty.
I'll have to lighten the hall for Mr. Filer when he comes. Are you getting anything?
Just some foreign stuff, I think.
Tonight's programming from Johannesburg, South Africa. We continue in April.
That's a peculiar transmission sound.
Earth.
Now, that sounds like something. See if I can work the selector.
The moon is in phase.
Yes.
Hello, Earth. Can you hear me?
I'll try to return. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Earth.
Hello, do you hear me?
Oh, I get you now. Thank God.
Who are you? Can you hear me? Who are you?
This is Professor Cornelius Otterburn. Hello?
Go on, I hear you.
Not much time. They're on to me. They've located my sending point. Do you hear me?
Go ahead, keep talking.
I've only enough oxygen for a few minutes more.
Well, where are you?
I'm on the Earth side of the moon. You get that? The Earth side of the moon. A volcanic crater.
Good. Start that recorder, Mr. Wade. Go on. Explain, please. Explain, please.
Now listen closely. There is an Earth colony on the moon. There is an Earth colony on the far side of the moon, made up of renegade scientists and criminals. Professor Ernst Halsman...
He died in an insane asylum in 1938.
Professor Ernst Halsman discovered nuclear rocket power in 1935. Turned his plans over to escaped inmates of the asylum. They took off and set up a colony on the far side of the moon in 1938.
Go ahead, we're recording you.
Each year, they recruit new colonists from Earth. Slave labor, mostly. I was kidnapped in 1945.
Yes, I know. Keep talking.
They wanted me to work on atomic drive for their flying disc.
Still getting you. Go on.
Last month, 6 others and I escaped.
Speak louder.
You got to stop them. Stop them.
Stop who?
The moon colony. Planning to take over the Earth invasion. Oh.
Hang on.
No oxygen. Hard to breathe. Hey, listen. They have agents on Earth. You hear me?
Agents on Earth? Where? Who? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Agents in...
Henry, look out. Someone at the window. Get down.
Henry, are you all right? I think so. This shot smashed the transmitter.
And the lights. Strike a match.
Careful. It was close.
I got a look at him. From the description, it was your Mr. Philo.
We got a recording anyway. But not the most important part of the message. Poor Otterburn. Suffocating to death.
Henry, we've got to get you out of here. He said they have agents. Philo was probably one of them. He'll be looking for you now, trying to kill you.
The police...
You think the police would believe a fantastic story like this? People being kidnapped to the moon as slave labor? Moon colony planning an invasion of the Earth? But Henry, believe me, they'd trap us into straitjackets before we could finish.
We've got to do something.
We need time. Time to get close.
You don't think my theory was bunk then?
I know it wasn't, Henry. Right now, my only concern is for your safety.
But we can't walk out of here. Philo's probably waiting.
Listen. There's a service elevator that leads to the basement garage.
Yeah?
We can get down there. There are some delivery trucks parked there all night. We can probably get one started. The garage door's off the ramp, work from the inside. We'll start the mechanism and make a run for it.
I don't know. I think if we call the police...
By the time the police get here, we'll be dead. You think Philo will wait outside all night? Come on. That's an order.
Okay. But what about the recording of Otterburn's notes?
We'll leave that here in the safe in my office. They'll never get into that. Let's go. You buzz the elevator while I hide the recording. This is the basement. Come on. Keep to the side.
Yes, sir.
Shh. Let's try that delivery truck over there. I'll get in. All right, Henry. You start the mechanism to open the garage door, then jump onto the truck.
Yes, sir.
We'll make a dash for it.
Where can we go?
I have a farm outside Chevy Chase. It's private. Miles from the nearest neighbor and completely hidden by trees. We'll run for that. Go ahead. Start the door up.
All right.
Quick. Jump in. There we go, Henry. Cross your fingers. We made it out all right. Anything doing?
There's a blue coupe behind us, Mr. Wade. It seems to be following.
I'll cut up Pennsylvania Avenue. Now Route 1, toward Baltimore.
It is following. He turned with us. Can you go faster?
Not much faster.
He's gaining on us.
I've got an idea. Hang on, Henry.
Yes. Why'd you stop?
I'll turn off the lights. It worked. He shot right past us. Now we'll double back and go out another route.
Well, I don't see anything. I think we've lost him.
Good. I think everything's going to be all right now. We can be at my farm in less than an hour. Not much longer now. Is anyone behind us?
I thought I saw the blue coupe again, but I was mistaken. Whew. This place is really out in the wilderness.
We can stay here indefinitely till we'll figure out the next move. Now, just up this third road now. There's the house up ahead.
You're not going toward it.
No, I have a better idea. There's a big abandoned wheat silo on my grounds. It's down the hollow where it can't be seen except in the air. And even then, the oak trees shield it. We'll hide you out there. Now, we leave the truck here. It'll never be seen. Come on.
Yes. How did you ever find this place, Mr. Wade?
I've always liked seclusion. I bought it about 12 years ago. Come up here in the summertime to get away from it all. There's the silo.
It's certainly well hidden.
There's a small door around the side. Come on. Be careful of those bushes.
Yes.
It's hard to see them in the back.
Do you suppose Philo will find us?
I assure you, Henry, Mr. Fowler will never find us here. Not in a million years. Here's the door.
It's pitch dark.
Hold my arm. I know the way. Just a few steps up. And another door.
Steel. This is an unusual silo. Double-walled, wood outside and steel inside.
Completely fireproof. An army couldn't wreck it. We're inside the inner shell. Careful. We're in a circular room. Stay here a moment. I'll go outside and see if the coast is clear. In a moment, your eyes will become accustomed to the darkness. I'll bring back some food and water.
Don't be long, Mr. Wade. This place gives me the willies.
Just a moment.
Mr. Wade. I swear I hear something. Mr. Wade. What's that? There is something. Good Lord. There's someone in here. It's locked. Oh, no. Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, let me out. I'm not alone in here. Mr. Wade. This must be a light switch. Thank God. Oh, no. People. 10, 15, 20. Mr. Wade, help! Help!
It'll do you no good to shout, Henry.
Mr. Wade, where are you?
Outside. Speaking over the intercom.
Mr. Wade, there are people in here. 15 or 20 of them. They're sitting like statues, just staring at me.
They won't hurt you, Henry.
What?
They've all been drugged. They're even more helpless than you.
But who are they?
Permit me to introduce them, Henry. Since they're currently unable to introduce themselves. The gentleman seated before you, the one with the scar, is Dr. Paul Ahrens, the astromathematician. Next to him is Mr. Robert Simons, electronic engineer.
Names on the list.
Yes, you're familiar with the rest. They've all been, shall we say, recruited for work with Professor Halsman's group on the moon.
Moon? Then you're one of them.
Of course. Oh, yes. There's one whose name was not on our list. If you'll turn around, Henry, you'll recognize the drugged form of your old friend, Mr. Philo.
Philo? But I thought...
That he was part of the conspiracy? No. On the contrary. His snooping made it necessary for us to include him.
Yes, but the man in the window, the one who fired the shot...
An agent of mine. The pilot of this ship.
Ship? What ship?
This silo is camouflaged for a rocket launching platform. In a moment, the roof will slide back for the rocket's takeoff.
A rocket ship?
In exactly 70 hours, you and your companions will join Professor Otterburn on the moon.
But you can't do this to me.
We have done it, Henry.
No.
You see, there was another name omitted in that list, which I carelessly mixed up with your papers. That of Henry Timken.
No.
Bon voyage.
I won't let you do this. You can't. Please, let me out. Let me out, please. This can't happen. Let me out. Let me out.
Attention. Missing since 8 o'clock last night, the following persons. Timken Henry, age 45, height 5 feet 8, 165 pounds, brown eyes, slightly balding, occupation records custodian. Repeat, Timken Henry, age 45, height 5 feet 8, 165 pounds.
In just a moment, a word about next week's adventure. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Man in the Moon, an original radio drama written by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Louis Van Ruten as Henry, Santos Ortega as the Chief, Ross Martin as Charlie, Sidney Smith as Otterburn, Bob Haig as Jake, Joe DeSantis as Philo, and Ed Latimer as O'Brien. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week. The sign on the window said Parigi's Wonderful Dolls. A woman and a child waited outside. The little girl peering eagerly through the window, and the woman glancing impatiently at her wristwatch, as if expecting someone who was late for an appointment. And there was nothing about Parigi's doll shop to warn them that they were waiting to keep an appointment with Doom at X-1.
A wealthy and beautiful California woman, Mrs. Patricia Gregory, has spent 14 years searching the world over for her little daughter, Joan Gregory. 14 years ago, Mrs. Gregory, her husband, and baby daughter were shipwrecked in the South Pacific. Everyone on board was believed lost except Mrs. Gregory, but she has always felt that her little girl was also saved. This belief has caused Mrs. Gregory to offer a large reward for news of any young white girl found in the South Sea Islands who might prove to be her daughter. 14 years she has waited in vain, but now the story begins in Los Angeles. It is just 12 o'clock midnight. A police radio car is cruising near Mrs. Gregory's home.
Car 67 at Weston and Slauson at 5. Car 67 at the service station, Weston and Slauson at 5. Car 14.
That's us. Let's hear it then.
Rolling car 14. Car 14 in North Chester Place, near the Adams Street entrance. Investigator Prowler, North Chester Place near Adams. That is all.
Cut him off. We'll have a look around.
We're right in that block now.
Yeah. Slow down. This ought to be it.
I thought I saw somebody on that lawn there. That's the Gregory place, isn't it?
Yeah. There is something moving there. He's up the driveway, right behind it. Where you going, buddy?
Who wants to know?
Hold it right there and I'll show you. Hold it there, kid. I want to talk to you.
Hey, why don't you take that flashlight out of my eye so I can see who you are?
It's a lot more important that I see who you are. What are you doing here this time of night?
Well, suppose you tell me what you're doing here, and then maybe I'll tell... Oh, golly, Whiskers. I didn't see your uniform at first. The cops, huh?
Right, the cops. Now can you remember what you're doing in this driveway?
Well, I might live here.
Ah, you might, but you don't. We got a call on you as a prowler.
A prowler? I'm looking for a lady's house. That's not prowling, is it?
Well, depends on whether the lady wants you to be looking for her. This is Mrs. Gregory's house.
Honest? She's the one I'm looking for. Much obliged. I'll go and see her.
Hey, not so fast, buddy, not so fast. Do you know Mrs. Gregory?
No. But I've got some news for her. I heard about her little girl being lost in the South Seas on a magic island.
Oh.
And I...
So, her little girl's lost on a magic island, eh? And her mama don't know it, but you're going to tell her. Well, I'm Santa Claus, and I'm taking you to the North Pole with me. Come on.
Hey, let go of my arm.
Oh, you're going to the station house. Come on.
No, I'm not. Help! Help!
Oh,
Mrs. Gregory!
Will you shut up?
Somebody help! Hey there, you!
Hey, now you'll walk him up in the Gregory house.
I hope I woke
somebody's
up the whole
coming.
block.
Take it easy, son. Now, take it easy there.
Here, this is no place to stage a fight.
Oh, well, we picked this kid up in your driveway on a prowler call.
I'm not a prowler, honest. I've got to see Mrs. Gregory right away.
Well, it isn't so easy to see Mrs. Gregory at midnight. What's your business here?
The kid's having a pipe dream about Mrs. Gregory's little girl floating around Australia on a magic island. I'll see that he don't bother you anymore. Come on, son.
Wait a minute. Hold it, officer. Did you say Mrs. Gregory's little girl?
You bet he did. But nobody's going to get a chance to laugh at me again. I'll tell my story to Mrs. Gregory, or not at all.
All right, officer. I'll be responsible for this boy. If he's not what he represents himself to be, I'll send for you again. My name's Bradford. I'm in charge of...
Oh, that's all right, sir. I know you, Captain Bradford. Call us if you want anything else. And let us know how the kid's magic island comes out.
I'm sure glad you came out, sir. He was going to take me to jail.
Well, if your story doesn't sound just right, you'll still get a chance to go. Come on up to the house now. We'll meet Miss Gregory.
I know she'll want to hear my story, but I kind of hate to get her up at this time of night.
Never mind that. Miss Gregory and I were just going out. You go open the door there and go right in. I'll follow you. Go on in, kid.
But you ought to go in first.
I'll be the judge of what I ought to do. Go on in. Now, straight down the hall to that lighted arch.
What's going on, Tex? I thought I heard... Oh.
Are you Mrs. Gregory?
Yes, I'm Patricia Gregory.
Let's go in and sit down, Pat. I'm anxious to get a good look at this young fellow.
Say, Mrs. Gregory, your butler's mighty suspicious of me.
Butler?
I'm sorry, Tex, but you should see your face.
Butler. What makes you think I'm the butler?
Well, heck. Nobody but a butler could act as suspicious of anybody as you do.
You're wrong, young man. Captain Bradford is in charge of my affairs. Manager of my estate, master of my yacht, pilot of my planes, and... But hadn't you better introduce yourself?
Yes, we'll ask a few questions now, son. You sit over there. Keep your hands in sight. Patricia, you stay near me.
Don't be absurd, Tex. What danger could there be? He's only a boy.
Yes, and Billy the Kid was only a boy when he had to put extra long handles on his guns to hold the notches.
Say, I've had about enough of this. I've got something to tell Mrs. Gregory. Do I get to tell her, or don't I?
Of course you do. Keep quiet, Tex, and let the boy talk.
Thanks, Mrs. Gregory. Well, my name is Jerry Hall. This afternoon, I picked up a radio message on my shortwave set on a band I'd never heard anything on before. Somebody was talking in funny broken English and said that an old sailor was very sick in a hospital somewhere near Honolulu. I guess he didn't say.
There it is again, the same thing.
Wait, Tex. Go on, Jerry.
Well, I guess this old sailor was so sick, he didn't know what happened to him. He was raving about how he'd escaped from a magic island in the South Seas and about a beautiful little white girl that was living there with some strange people. Well, I read all about your little girl being lost in the shipwreck when she was a baby, and I thought that, well, that is... Gosh, I guess it sounds kind of foolish when I try to tell it.
No, it doesn't, Jerry. It isn't foolish at all. And Captain Bradford and I are leaving tonight within half an hour, sailing on my yacht. And we're going to find out all about that old sailor and his story.
Well, I've been reading all about your little girl ever since I could read. Is it true that you were shipwrecked in the South Seas, just like the stories say?
Yes, Jerry, it's all true. We were wrecked in the South Pacific when my little girl, Joan, was only a year old. Her father was lost, and of course, everyone else thinks my baby was also, but somehow I've never quite given up hope that someday I'd find her.
And we've chased all over the world to see girls that people show to us to try and get some of the money Mrs. Gregory offered. But they never are the right one.
Well, how could you tell your little girl? I mean, if it really was her.
Joan had a tiny birthmark, a little star-shaped scar on the back of her neck.
Joan. Gee, that's a pretty name. Joan. I'll bet she'd be pretty, too. Maybe almost as pretty as you are, Mrs. Gregory.
Thank you. There you are, Tex. Jerry's a bright boy.
Yes, his eyesight's all right, I'll say that. We've got to go. You see, kid, we heard the same thing on the shortwave that you did. We're sailing just as soon as we can get to the harbor.
Boy, that's slick. Will you take me with you?
Will we do what?
Take me along, will you? Oh, please.
Why, Jerry, we couldn't do that. We hardly know you. And you're so young, you can't be out of high school yet.
Well, I know my dad would let me go. And I know a lot about boats and aeroplanes and radios and all that sort of stuff. And I'd work hard on the yacht and... Oh, golly whiskers. How about it?
Not a chance. Out of the question.
I'm sorry, Jerry, but it just wouldn't do.
Beg your pardon, madam, but the car's at the door. Everything is quite ready. Baggage loaded.
Thank you, Johnson. We'll be out in a moment.
Very good, madam.
Now, Jerry, I'm afraid we'll have to say goodnight to you. It was sweet of you to come and tell us about your radio message. Won't you let me give you...
Oh, no, thanks, Mrs. Gregory. It was fun for me. You see, I've dreamed about finding your... Oh, well, good night. I hope you have a lot of luck.
Thanks,
good night,
Jerry.
son.
Good night.
Oh, say, I was just thinking, if he could only let me go, I'd telephone my dad. He'd let me go when I tell him how nice you are, Mrs. Gregory.
Oh, Jerry, you're nice about this, and I would like to take you, but it wouldn't do, would it, Tex?
Sorry, kid, but it just isn't in the cards.
Boy, I'd sure like to see that magic island. The broadcast said there was something mysterious about it. How ships tried to sail up to it and couldn't, and that it was big but invisible. He gave the exact position. It might be true.
Afraid not, Jerry. We've sailed through there on 2 steamer lanes. There isn't an island the size of a watermelon that isn't on the chart.
Well, I guess I'd better go now.
I'll see you to the door.
Are you afraid I'm going to take something?
No, but I'm going to take something. Something to remember you by. Open the door. Go ahead. Open it.
Gee whiz. That flashlight nearly blinded me.
Sorry, but we like to take pictures of the people who come to see us at midnight, and we like to know when they open our door, too.
But when I came in, I opened the door myself, and nothing happened.
And I had the flashlight shut off. Now go on, kid. Get out.
Oh, I'm sorry I bothered you, sir. Good night.
Tex, why were you so rough about sending him out?
I just got an idea. That boy's smart. He could have broadcast that message himself just to get a trip to the islands with us.
Oh, I suppose so, but I do wish we could have taken him.
Well, it might have been wise at that. And I could have kept an eye on him till we ran the story down.
Oh, well, forget it. Hurry, Tex. Johnson's waiting in the car, and Jameson will lock up until we return. To the harbor, Johnson.
And step on it.
Johnson. Oh, Johnson.
Yes, madam.
We're awfully crowded back here. Couldn't you find room up front for this roll of steamer rugs?
I tried to put the roll up here, but he wouldn't have it.
Who wouldn't have what?
The young gentleman inside the rug, sir.
Huh? Say, Pat, there is somebody inside this roll.
And I can guess who it is.
I didn't think you'd find me till we got to the boat, and then maybe you'd take me with you.
I ought to wring your neck.
Now, Tex.
Oh, I know, Patricia, but...
Gee, Mrs. Gregory, that's an awful pretty name, Patricia. Oh, now, look. I'm plenty big enough to go with you, and we'll telephone my dad from the dock, huh?
How about it, Tex?
Nope.
Oh, now, Tex.
No. You got around Miss Gregory all right, Jerry, but you can't do that to me.
Oh, no, sir. I wouldn't try to get around you. I can see that nobody could do that. You're too smart. But I would like to sail with you. I could learn a lot from a man as smart as you are, Captain Bradford.
All right, you win, kid.
Golly whiskers. To the harbor, Johnson, and step on it.
Presenting for the first time in radio the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon and Dale Arden. These thrilling adventures come to you as they are pictured each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The Comic Weekly, now printed in 32 tabloid-sized pages, each page in full 4 colors, is distributed everywhere as a part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Racing high above the earth, comfortably seated in a giant airliner, Flash Gordon, internationally famous athlete, looks admiringly across the aisle at Dale Arden, the lovely young companion of his air voyage. The minds of both are intent on the terrible destruction which for many months has been approaching the earth with terrific speed. The new planet hurtling through space directly in the path of the earth. Suddenly there's a violent jar. The plane lurches into a spinning nosedive. Flash Gordon's trained muscles carry him across the aisle to the frightened girl. He gathers her in his arms and leaps free of the falling plane, and pulling the ripcord of his parachute, glides to earth.
Don't be frightened, Dale. The plane has crashed, but we're safe.
Yes, thanks to you.
Hold fast. We're landing now. Careful. Easy. There. Are you all right, Dale?
Yes.
Good.
Oh, look, Flash. There's a round steel tower. Where can we be?
Why, that's the laboratory of the great scientist, Dr. Hans Zarkov. Why, he's coming this way. I'll call to him to help us. I hope you'll pardon us for breaking in on you so unceremoniously, Doctor, but you see, we had to bail out.
I know you for what you are. Spies. Come to steal my secret. But I have the answer to that. Come with me.
Put that gun away, Professor Zarkov. The man is mad, Dale. We'll have to humor him. All right, Professor. All right. We'll come with you.
Step down this ladder into this tower. Down, I say.
All right.
There now. We are in my rocket ship, and in 10 seconds we will be on our way to the new planet. We will all die. Die for science.
Oh, Flash, the doctor is mad. His rocket ship is rushing away from the Earth with the speed of light, right into the path of the new planet.
Hold tight, Dale. We'll escape somewhere.
To the new planet. To the new planet. We three will save the Earth.
Dr. Zarkov, there's still time to swing your rocket ship out of the path of the new planet.
No.
What will you gain for science if we're all killed in the crash?
I know who you are, Flash Gordon, the world's greatest athlete. But your trained strength will not save you. Only my mind, the mind of Zarkov, the scientist, can save you. Can save any human soul upon the earth.
Be careful, Flash. He's reaching for the controls.
Stand aside, Dr. Zarkov.
Feel it. The gravitation pull of the new planet. We crash in 5 seconds.
The rocket ship hits the planet. Dr. Zarkov and Dale are thrown from the rocket ship unconscious. Flash is thrown clear of the wreckage and lands on his feet uninjured. He rushes to the side of the unconscious girl, picks her up, and starts to carry her toward the distant towers of a city on this weird new planet. Suddenly, strange soldiers armed with ray guns appear, and capturing Dale and Flash, force them to come with them to the throne room of Ming the Merciless, Emperor of Mongo and Supreme Ruler of the Universe.
O thou exalted Ming, most merciless majesty of Mongo, supreme ruler of all the peoples of the new planet, thy slave salute thee.
Slave, bring forward the earth people.
Thy slaves obey, O Ming the Merciless.
Take your hands off me. I'm no slave. I'll meet your emperor as a free man and an equal.
So, Earthman,
You are a free man and my equal. Throw him to the red monkey man in the arena. I would see sport with this free man, my equal.
There is thy freedom, Earthman. Now you go into the arena to meet the red monkey men of Mongo.
Wait. Don't worry, Dale. Emperor Ming, I'll show you that I, a free man from the earth, am more than a match for your brainless red monkey men. Flash reaches the bottom step leading to the arena. He leaps and swings at the nearest red monkey man. Then, grasping the falling man-beast under the armpit, Flash whirls him around as a flail, knocking the others in all directions. Emperor Ming, fearing that his monkey men will all be killed, orders his soldiers to destroy Flash with their ray guns. In the midst of the confusion, Princess Aura, the beautiful young daughter of Emperor Ming, calls to Flash.
Quick, brave Earthman. This way. Here to my balcony.
Flash leaps to the royal balcony and joins the gorgeously jeweled princess, who commands the slaves to keep back, while she takes Flash through a secret door and into a passage leading to a private elevator. The two get in, and Aura closes the door and presses the switch. Who are you, beautiful maiden?
I am the Princess Aura, only daughter of Ming the Merciless.
Princess, I owe you my life.
You are brave and handsome and strong. You must not die so young. I have never seen anyone like you, Earthman.
Where I come from, Princess, there are many stronger men and better looking. But tell me, Princess, where are you taking me?
I am taking you to the private landing frames of my own rocket cars. There you will be safe. We have arrived, Earthman. Get in this rocket car. No one can harm you here.
But, Princess,
hurry,
I don't...
Hurry!
But, Princess Aura, how am I to rescue the Earth girls? They are lost.
That is why you are in my private rocket car, Earthman.
Why, what do you mean?
Dale Arden shall never be rescued by you.
The Princess!
As for you, Earthman, you shall love me or die. Meanwhile, back in the palace, Emperor Ming is talking with Dale Arden.
Your companion, Flash Gordon, has escaped, but not for long. My men will soon capture him.
What are you going to do with me, Emperor Ming?
You are pleasing to me, Earthwoman. You will become my wife.
Never! I don't love you.
We men of Mongo have no human traits, no love, no mercy, no kindness. Whether you love me or not makes no difference. You shall become my wife as soon as the ceremony can be arranged.
Your Majesty, look into the spatiograph. Our city is being bombarded by the space gyros of the Lion Men.
The Lion Men! Order the entire space fleet to the attack!
In the terrific battle which takes place between Emperor Ming's space fleet and the gyros of the Lion Men, the attacking gyros are driven off. The rocket ship in which Flash Gordon has been held captive is destroyed, and Flash is thrown to the ground unconscious. He opens his eyes to find himself staring up into the great bearded face of Thun, Prince of the Lion Men. Thun lets his great sword fall as he sees Flash Gordon's white skin.
Who art thou, white-skinned youth? Speak. Answer me before I cleave thy white body in pieces. Art thou a new kind of soldier of Ming the Merciless?
I am the sworn enemy of that fiend Emperor Ming of Mongo. He has captured a girl who is from the earth, like myself. I live only to rescue her.
An earthman, thou sayest?
Yes.
And an enemy of Ming the Merciless?
That's right. Tell me, are you friend or enemy?
I am Thun, Prince of the Lion Men, hereditary enemies of the men of Mongo. If thou wilt accept me as thy friend, Earthman, I will gladly join thee against Ming the Merciless.
Here's my hand on its entrance, Thun.
Good. What is thy name, Earthman?
I am called Flash Gordon upon the earth, Your Highness.
Call me Thun, friend, and I will call thee Flash.
Friend Thun, do you know how we can gain admittance to the palace that we may rescue Dale Arden?
Come. I will show thee a secret way into the palace.
Ah, good.
The Emperor Ming is away pursuing my gyro fleet. We may be able to rescue
rescue the Earth Girl before Ming returns.
Flash Gordon and his powerful newfound friend go first to the space gyro of Prince Soon, and there they gaze intently into the thought projector, in which they not only see Dale Arden a captive, but they also have revealed to them a secret way leading to the throne room of the palace. The secret passage is known as the Tunnel of Terror because of the deadly beasts which lie within its gloomy walls. Fighting each step of the way, Flash and his new friend, Prince Soon, finally find themselves within the palace. A door with great steel bolts stands before them.
Quick, Soon. This door must lead directly into the center of the palace.
From my memory of the palace, I should say that beyond this door is the great throne room of the Emperor Ming.
All right, then. Here we go. There. All right, Soon. It is the throne room.
Yes. This great statue before us is the God of Death, which stands at the top of the altar steps, directly behind the throne of the Emperor.
Listen. Soon, what's that?
By the great god Tao. It is a royal wedding procession. Ming the Merciless is taking another bride.
They're coming up the altar steps soon. I'm going to look around the idol.
To look around the idol means death. Thou must not.
Come back. Come back, Flash. Soon. Save yourself. I'm going to the rescue of my Earth friend, Dale Arden. She's being forced into a marriage with Ming the Merciless.
Prince Soon of the Lion Men does not save himself at the expense of his friends. If thou must die, I will die fighting with thee.
Dale! This way, Dale! This way, Dale!
Down this passage, Earthmaiden, as fast as thou canst run.
Quick, Soon. They're swarming up the altar steps. Help me topple the idol over on them. Now. 1, 2, 3.
With a grinding crash, the giant idol topples over on the onrushing soldiers of Ming the Merciless, killing those in front and throwing into confusion the whole company. Flash Gordon and Prince Soon, with Dale between them, dash into the secret passage beneath the idol. The way becomes steeper. They slip and fall, down, 100 feet or more into a whirling underground river. They're swept along down a raging current and over a falls into a lake. With the powerful strokes of the champion swimmer, Flash sets out for the shore, towing Dale by the hair. They reach the shore, and as Flash reaches down to drag Dale to safety, she screams and disappears beneath the calm surface of the lake, clutched in 2 powerful green, scaly arms. With no thought of his own safety, Flash Gordon dives to Dale's rescue and finds an adventure stranger than any which has gone before. Follow the thrilling adventures of Flash Gordon and Dale Arden each Sunday in your Hearst Sunday newspaper. You will find them graphically portrayed in full-colored pictures in the Comic Weekly. Only in the Comic Weekly can you follow the escapades of the Katzenjammer Kids, those perennial rascals, or thrill to the adventures of King of the Royal Mountain. Only in the Comic Weekly can you enjoy the good, clean fun of Bringing Up Father, Tilly the Toiler, Way Out West, The Little King, or in the language of his hillbilly friends, go clean catawampus over the bodacious goings-on of Barney Google. Your old friend Skippy and all his little pals are waiting for you in the Comic Weekly, along with Pinky, Molly, and Pat in their great adventure story, Radio Patrol. Then there is Ace Drummond, the Demon Aviator, Johnny Round the World, and many, many others. Be sure you get this big 32-page all-color Comic Weekly supplement with your copy of next Sunday's Hearst newspaper. And don't fail to listen again next week to the continuation of the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon and Dale Arden.
Escape. Escape tonight to a fabulous world where there is a diamond as big as the Ritz.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations presents Escape, a new series of programs of which this, the third, is The Diamond as Big as the Ritz by F. Scott Fitzgerald, produced and directed by William N. Robeson.
In a country as large as ours, there are many odd and wonderful corners hidden away, but none more fabulous and wonderful than the one conceived in the imagination of F. Scott Fitzgerald and located in the pages of his famous short story, The Diamond as Big as the Ritz. It is described in the words of John Unger, 20 years old, impressionable, and quite willing to swear to the truth of this whole strange affair.
I'd been going to the St. Midas Prep School for a couple of years, and this was my second summer vacation. I'd met this fellow Percy Washington during the winter and got to be pretty good friends with him. Only I didn't know about his family or where he came from or anything like that. Of course, I knew he must be rich, because all the fellows at St. Midas come from wealthy families. So when he invited me to spend the summer at his home out west someplace, well, that was okay by me. Well, we'd been on the train overnight when he first mentioned it. I don't even remember now what led up to it. We'd been talking about first one thing, then another. Exactly where is your home, Percy? I mean, you bought the train tickets and all.
It's in Montana, sort of.
Montana? Oh, yes. It's pretty wild country, isn't it?
Some of it is.
Well, now, you take Hades, Missouri, where I come from. It's been settled for 150 years. One of the first towns on the Mississippi River.
Indeed?
Oh, sure.
That's very interesting.
Huh. I sure do appreciate you not making jokes about it. You know, the way some of the fellas do when I say, I come from Hades. When my father's plantation...
John, do you know that my father is the richest man in the world?
Oh?
By far the richest.
Well, I read about a man that paid taxes on a $5 million income.
Small fry. If my father paid tax on his real income, he'd disrupt the whole economy of the United States.
No kidding. I like rich people. And the richer a fella is, the better I like him.
My father could buy out all the millionaires in the country and not even know he had done it.
Is that a fact? Well, I visited the Switzer Murphys once. They're plenty rich. Why, their daughter Vivian's got rubies as big as hen's eggs. And sapphires that glow like headlamps.
I like jewels. Always have. I used to collect them instead of stamps.
And diamonds. Well, the Switzer Murphys had diamonds as big as walnuts.
Oh, that's nothing.
Huh?
Nothing at all. My father has a diamond as big as the Ritz.
Oh.
Please, I'm not joking.
But you mean as big as the Ritz-Carlton Hotel?
Exactly. My father has a diamond as big as the Ritz.
Well, from there on, it was something like a dream. We got off the train about dusk at a little whistle stop called Fish, Montana. There wasn't anything there, not even a station. Just a broken-down old buggy and 4 or 5 sheep herders lounging beside the track and, I suppose, wondering who we were. Anyway, Percy and I climbed into the buggy, and without saying a word, the driver cracked his whip, and off we went. I don't know how far we traveled. We didn't seem to be following any road. After an hour or so, it got dark, but the driver kept right on, never saying a word.
I hope you'll pardon this inconvenience, John, but we have to take certain precautions, you know.
Oh, that's all right.
Anyway, we're almost there.
Your home, you mean?
Oh, no, to the place where we consider it safe to transfer.
Transfer? What do you mean?
There's the signal now.
Headlights.
Pull up the horse, Absam. Here we are.
An automobile. But how? Well, there's no road.
Oh, this car's specially built. Doesn't need roads.
Welcome home, master.
Good evening, Gigsum. Oh, come on, John. Let's get in.
But that door opened by itself.
Sonically controlled, you know.
Gosh. Hey, what's this car made out of? Silver?
No, platinum. And those are emeralds in the hubcaps.
And the upholstering. It's fur.
Mink.
You're ready, Master.
Anytime, Gigsum. You've probably noticed the exceptional brightness of the headlights. The lenses are cut from diamonds.
Boy, what a car.
And this old junk heap? We use it for a station wagon.
What are we stopping for? This is just a deserted canyon.
Oh, we're not there yet, John. It's a little further. Wait, you'll see.
Hello, sir! No way!
Percy, what's that? That noise?
They're sending the hooks down.
Hooks?
Yes, to attach to the wheels. You know, that's what Gigsum is doing now.
But
Oh, yes, I forgot to mention. Gigsum will look after you during the visit.
Look after me?
Your personal valet. Of course, there'll be other slaves available, too, whenever you need them.
Do you have a lot of slaves?
Oh, 300 or 400, I suppose. Oh, all ready, Gigsum?
Yes, Master. Hello! Haste away!
Hey, look, we're leaving the ground.
Yes, there's a hoist up there on top of the cliff. Has cables about 1/4 of a mile long.
But what for?
Oh, it's the only way in.
Imagine hoisting an automobile 1/4 of a mile up the side of a cliff.
It's nothing, really. As you may have guessed, John, this is not going to be like anything you ever saw before in your life. Well, John, there it is.
That's your home? Oh, it's magnificent. Palatial.
It's not a bad little place.
How big is it?
I suppose you mean the number of rooms. I think it's around 140. But Father may remember exactly. Then, of course, there are other buildings. Slaves' quarters and things.
Why hasn't anybody ever found out about it? This place, I mean.
Well, for one thing, it's the only 5 square miles in the United States that have never been surveyed.
Huh? Why not?
Oh, things were arranged.
I don't see how that's possible.
Believe me, it hasn't been easy. I understand Grandfather had to bribe 3 government bureaus, a vice president, and half of Congress once to keep this place off of the maps.
Oh, but surely somebody stumbled onto it. Prospectors, people like that?
Oh, yes, that happens occasionally. Then, of course, we have to arrange things.
You mean...
Not always. Usually we just take them prisoner and keep them. Same as the aviators.
Oh, planes come here?
Well, once in a while they fly over. Of course, they never get away. We have 9 anti-aircraft batteries around the hill here.
You shoot them down?
Oh, yes, great sport. It does upset Mother a bit, though. And there's always a chance that one might get away. That's Father's greatest worry.
Well, this place... This whole thing, it's fantastic.
Oh, come now, John. I picked you for a fellow with his feet on the ground. And you haven't seen anything yet, you know. This is only the beginning.
And it was only the beginning. We crossed the acres of lawn and entered the great chateau. And from that moment on, vision upon vision tumbled together in a gigantic kaleidoscope of color, symmetry, and exquisite harmony. But there were corridors lined with gleaming crystals, lit by lamps cut from emerald. And there were great halls carpeted with chinchilla fur and ermine, and some with floors of clear transparency, flaming in the shifting glow of a myriad-colored fire beneath them. And there was a white-haired man, pink-faced and pleasant, who was Percy's father, and a lovely lady with dark hair piled high on her head, like a fragile queen, who was Percy's mother. Soft music came from hidden places. Perfumes filled the air, exotic foods, and wines more rare than pearls. And finally, sitting in my chair in the great banquet hall, I quietly fell asleep. I thought there could be no more nor greater wonders. I was wrong. There were many more and greater ones. And one of them I discovered the next morning in the garden.
Hello there.
Oh, you're lovely.
My name is Kismine. You're John Unger, and you're a friend of my brother. Are you from the East?
No. Well, at least not exactly. I'm from Hades.
Oh.
Missouri.
Would you like to sit down here on the grass?
Well, yeah, sure I would.
I'm going east to school this fall. Do you suppose I'll like it?
I think so. Of course, it'll be different from all this.
Well, that's what Jasmine says, and she's in the East now. I've never been outside.
Who's Jasmine?
My sister. She's older than I am.
I hope you won't be offended, but... Well, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
Yes, I know.
What?
I surprised you, didn't I? A year ago, I would have said thank you. But Father says it's very necessary to learn to take things for granted. So now I just take it for granted that I'm beautiful, you see?
You're pretty sophisticated, aren't you?
Oh, I'm not at all. I think sophisticated young people are terribly common. I'm not a bit like that.
No, I didn't really mean it. I only said it to tease you.
Well, I'm glad. I wouldn't want you to think anything like that. Why, I don't smoke or drink even. And I never read a thing except poetry.
I was only kidding.
Well, I believe girls should enjoy their youth in a wholesome sort of way.
Oh, so do I.
I like you, John. I wish you'd spend some of your time with me this summer. Not all with Percy.
Oh, I will, Kismine. I will.
You may be in love with me if you'd like to. I'm absolutely fresh ground, you know.
I am in love with you.
But of course we'll have to meet secretly. My parents wouldn't permit it if they knew.
Well, then that's what we'll do.
Well, I have to go now. I'm supposed to be with Mother at 11. Aren't you going to ask me for a kiss? Jasmine says boys always do nowadays.
Well, some of them do, but not me. We don't expect nice girls to do that sort of thing in Hades. It was a funny thing. Percy's family were polite, friendly, always smiling. And yet all the time I had a feeling that some terrible and golden mystery lay hidden just around the corner. A few days after I'd met Kismine, Percy remarked casually that an unusual event had occurred. A man had escaped from the cage. I didn't know what he meant then. But the next morning I was walking with Percy's father on the grounds of the estate.
The slaves' quarters are there, Mr. Unger.
Oh. Yes, they're very nice.
Well, they're adequate. During one period of my youth, I became absurdly idealistic and allowed them to live in luxury. I even equipped their rooms with tile baths.
I suppose they use the bathtubs to keep coal in. Mr. Schlitzer Murphy told me
I should
once...
imagine the opinions of Mr. Schlitzer Murphy are of little importance. They did not use the tubs for coal. They bathed in them. Unfortunately, several caught cold and died. So, of course, I had the baths removed. Shall we move on?
Mr. Washington, Percy said something about a man escaping from the cage. I didn't quite get it.
The cage, eh? Well, perhaps you'd like to see it. Might prove interesting just as a novelty. It's over here.
These trees. Hey, they're 60 feet tall, and they have roses blooming all over them.
Rather interesting development by a Swiss botanist. They are the only ones in the world.
I'll be darned. Though I suppose you'll see them all over the country in a few years, huh?
No, these are the only ones. That was arranged. Here we are. The cage.
It's a pit dug in the ground. And a grating on top.
Oh, yes, it's not really a cage, except in a certain sense. Well, boys, how are you getting along?
Come on down here and see. Yeah, throw them in, buddy. Go ahead.
How many men are down there?
About 50, as I recall.
Who are they?
Oh, aviators we've shot down, wandering prospectors, men of that sort.
Yes, but why are they kept there?
They've all had the common misfortune of having discovered El Dorado. Gentlemen, I'm sure you'd like to know that your companion who departed without my permission has been taken care of. He was shot by some of my agents in 14 different places. Golf, Mr. Unger?
They found him then? The man who got away?
Those places were towns. My agents were over eager. None of them could offer a positive identification. I'm afraid the man may still be at large. So you see, it's not all utopia here. We do have our difficulties.
Isn't it a little unnecessary holding them like that?
Well, not at all. It's the only way to keep this place hidden.
Yes, I guess that must be important. Percy was telling me something on the train. I thought he was just kidding. But he said you had a diamond as big as the Ritz-Carlton Hotel.
Oh, yes, indeed. As a matter of fact, it's much bigger than the Ritz. Much bigger.
Well, summer went on, and I was more and more in love with Kismine. Oh, she was priceless, exquisite, like no other girl in the world. After a couple of weeks, I kissed her, of course, and I was really in love for the first time. Oh, I should have known. I should have put two and two together when Percy's father showed me the cage. But I didn't, until one morning late in the summer, I'd slipped off with Kismine to the rose garden. Kismine, I think we ought to elope.
Oh, I don't know. It would be much nicer to be married here. But then it would be more romantic to elope.
Yeah, all the Sunday supplements would write stories about fabulous heiress elopes with... You are fabulous, you know.
I knew an heiress from Omaha once. I don't think you'd like her. She visited my sister here.
Oh, you've had other guests then, huh?
Well, yes, we've had a few.
Wasn't your father ever afraid they might talk outside?
To some extent. Oh, let's talk about something pleasanter.
What's so unpleasant about it?
Well, I grew quite fond of some of them.
You mean they told and your father...
Oh, they didn't get a chance to. Father had to be sure.
Oh, but that's murder.
What else could we do? In the case, well, they'd have been a constant reproach to us. And Father does it so nicely. They're always drugged in their sleep, and then we tell their families they died of scarlet fever in Butte. I'm not sure how that affects the statistics there.
Of all the horrible...
Oh, it is not. After all, it'd be terribly boring here without ever having anybody. Why, Father and Mother have sacrificed some of their best friends.
Well, you're no better than the... Well, then, that's what they plan to do with me.
Oh, couldn't you forget it? And be nice to me until you're put away. It's only for 2 or 3 weeks.
You'd go on this way, kissing, talking about love, when you know I'm not much better than a corpse?
You're not a corpse. You're not. I won't have you saying I kissed a corpse.
Oh, that wasn't what I said.
You did, too.
I did not.
You said
Just a moment.
Father.
Who kissed a corpse?
Well, nobody. We were joking.
You two haven't any business here anyway. Kismine, go play golf. Don't let me find you here when I come back.
Yes, Father.
Good day, children.
You see? Now he knows. You've spoiled everything. You don't really love me.
Kismine, you... Look, tell me, what's the reason for all this secrecy? What if you are rich and have this place? Why would it be so terrible if anybody found out about it?
Why, it's on account of the diamond, of course.
Diamond? What is this diamond all of you talk about?
Well, it's the... Oh, you'd better ask Percy. I'm always getting things mixed up.
Well, I will ask him. And another thing, I'm getting out of here tonight if I have to dig through the mountains. I'm going back east.
Take me with you.
No.
Why not?
Kismine, dear, your father wouldn't permit it.
If you won't take me, I'll go tell him I want to marry you.
No, you can't do that. He bumped me off this afternoon.
Oh, please take me, darling. We'll be terribly poor and very happy. And I'll cook things for you. Oh, herbs and berries and things. Won't that be fun? You will, won't you, John?
Well, my head was really in a whirl. This whole thing was fantastic. And so was the family, even Kismine. I couldn't think of anything to do, but, well, I rushed to see Percy.
But, John, why didn't you ask me before?
Because I thought you were kidding all the time.
I know you wouldn't have believed me if I'd told you.
Yeah, well, I'm ready to believe anything now.
Well, it was Grandfather who started the whole thing. Purely by accident. He came out here from Virginia after the war between the states and stumbled onto it.
Onto what?
The diamond. That's what made this all possible, of course. Grandfather spent 2 years going around to different cities of the world selling bits of it. Then he started building this place. He put his money in jewels. But Father found that radium took much less space.
Yeah, but why the secrecy?
Oh, it just wouldn't do if anyone found out. Ruin the economy of the world. The thing's too big.
And this has been going on for 3 generations, then. The cage and this thing of inviting friends.
Oh, yes. You see, there wasn't really any danger before airplanes. They are what worry us.
You knew when you invited me here what would happen.
Please, John. I thought you'd be more sensible about it. After all, you can see my position.
Oh, yeah. Well, where is it? Where do you keep this diamond that's caused so cockeyed much trouble?
Oh, I thought you'd guessed. You've noticed the hill the chateau stands on.
Yeah.
It contains a cubic mile. And, except for a thin covering of dirt, it's one big, solid diamond.
It was nearly midnight. I don't know what woke me, but all of a sudden I was staring across the patches of moonlight spotting the ermine carpet of my bedroom. Staring at 3 slaves I'd never seen before. They just slipped inside the door and stood there, each with a vicious length of shiny copper wire. The official executioners. I lay there on the bed watching them, counting heartbeats, not daring to move, not daring not to move. They didn't know I'd wakened, and they began edging across the room.
Come on, all 3 of you. There's no time now for this. All hell's broken loose. Hurry!
I took one long, deep breath, the first one in several moments, and then I was out of the bed in an instant, throwing on my clothes and dashing through the long crystal corridor to Kismine's room. Kismine, are you awake?
John, over here by the window. So they woke you up, too.
If you mean 3 of your father's slaves.
Oh, no, airplanes.
Airplane? So that's what it is.
At least a dozen. I saw them crossing against the moon. Oh, look, they're circling way over there.
You think they're here on purpose?
Oh, yes. They dropped warnings to Father. It's that man who got away from the cage, you know.
Oh, good for him.
Yes, wasn't he clever? Well, I think we'll open up on them any second now.
Open up?
Yes, our anti-aircraft. Oh, this is going to be thrilling.
Thrilling?
Oh, look, they're in range now. Bravo! Bravo!
Kismine, get away from that window!
Oh, good heavens, did you see that?
Yes, and we've got to get out of here. Can't you understand? They'll bomb the chateau next.
I know. There's a little grove across on the side of the mountains. We always keep one of the cars there. Oh, we have a nice view of everything.
A nice view. Kismine, you don't seem to understand. They mean business. They're out to finish off you and your whole family.
Oh, but it all seems so silly. Oh, when you come right down to it, they've never even met us. What time is it, John? Is it morning yet?
I don't know. I've lost my watch. Seems to be getting lighter, all right.
It's quieter, too.
Yeah, they've knocked out your father's guns. Every last one of them. Won't be long now.
Oh, it seems such a shame. The family put so much work on the place. Everything's always been so pleasant.
Yeah. Well, you better get some sleep, Kismine. I'm going to walk down the path a little ways.
Oh, you'll come back?
Yes, Kismine. I'll come back. At the edge of the wood, I stopped and looked out across the valley toward the wrecked chateau standing on its diamond hill in the center. The bombing had stopped. The planes droned over the far rim of the plateau, seeking some sort of formation. Then, on a little knoll just below me, 3 men appeared suddenly from the underbrush. The first one strode imperiously ahead, and the other 2 bore a heavy burden between them. It was Mr. Washington and 2 of the slaves. I stepped behind a rock and stood motionless, watching them.
All right. This is far enough. We'll stop here. Now, hoist it up. Hold it there. Both together.
Easy now. There.
The burden they held up to the heavens was an immense diamond, cut and polished, catching the first faint rays of the dawn and gleaming like a fragment of the morning star.
Now, you out there. You there.
I could see no one else anywhere in view.
You above there. I want you to understand, this is only a sample. I'll give you 1,000, cut as fine, set in pedestals of platinum. And I'll build you a temple 1,000 feet high, cast of solid gold. And on the top of it, I'll put one diamond 100 feet across, set there forever to catch the rays of your sun.
A thought began to dawn on me. I couldn't believe it.
I'll letter your name on the temple in emeralds, and I'll see that the whole world worships at its base. All you have to do is make everything the way it was before.
Mr. Washington was offering a bribe to God. He stopped talking, and the three of them stood there, looking up at the heavens, waiting for an answer. And then at the far end of the valley, out of those same silent heavens, blossomed the white puffs of parachutes. The man who tried to bribe God looked up and saw them, became old in an instant, and turning with lowered head, walked down the path toward the chateau. With sudden premonition, I whirled and headed for the spot where I'd left Kismine. Kismine in the car that needed no roads.
Haven't we gone far enough, John?
I suppose. We're 10 miles from the chateau.
Well, it's all so hectic. This rushing about and losing sleep and everything.
Hand me those field glasses.
Here they are. Well, can you see anything?
No. Wait.
What is it?
It's your father and mother. And Percy. Yes, and the two slaves, still carrying that big diamond. Oh, wait. They're going in a tunnel down below the chateau. So that's it. They've got an underground escape.
No, I remember now. The mountain's wired. Some kind of atom bomb.
Atomic bomb.
Oh, that's it. Father's had it for years. He always said it would disintegrate the whole works, diamond and all. Of course, he only regarded it as a last resort.
So he'd rather have it like that. Well, they're all inside the tunnel now. The troopers are moving in.
I don't suppose there's really anything to be done about it now.
And there wasn't.
I keep thinking about things the way they were. It was all so pleasant. Oh, I don't suppose it will be ever exactly like that again.
Not ever, Kismine. And maybe it never was. Youth's a time for dreaming, and dreams die, too.
I'll probably have to take in washing. Oh, but of course we'll be very happy. What will we do, John?
Do? Oh, we can love a while underneath the stars. That's a form of divine drunkenness we can all try. And then there may be other diamonds in the world. Who knows? And even though it's a shabby gift, there's always disillusion. Turn up your collar, Kismine, before you catch pneumonia. Let's go to sleep.
The Diamond as Big as the Ritz by F. Scott Fitzgerald was adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield and produced and directed by William N. Robeson, with Jack Edwards Jr. as John, Danny Merrill as Percy, and Linda Mason as Kismine. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Feuer. Escape is presented by the Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations each week at this time. Next week, we invite you to escape to the China Seas with Joseph Conrad in his gripping story of a typhoon. And so, good night until next week at this time, when it will again be time to escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Buck Rogers is back on the air. Buck and Wilma and all their fascinating friends and mysterious enemies in the super-scientific 25th century. This program is brought to you by the makers of Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle, those delicious frozen confections on a stick. Now I have a swell surprise for you. The famous winner of the typical American boy contest has now become Popsicle Pete. And here's a message from him.
Hello, everybody. I sure am glad to meet you. And boy, am I glad I was picked to be the typical American boy. Because now I'm Popsicle Pete. I always wanted to be on the radio, and now I have a chance to tell you about some wonderful presents you can get, free. Gee, you ought to see them. Hundreds of them. You get them just for saving bags from nifty Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle. Some gifts, even better than Christmas. You can get a wristwatch, a movie camera, table tennis, a wallet, a doll. Gee, lots of gifts. Just save the bags from Popsicle, Creamsicle, and Fudgicle on a handy stick. Boy, do they taste good.
Wholesome, too, and nourishing. Made fresh every day of the finest ingredients. The biggest 5 cents worth anywhere.
And say, kids, get the free illustrated Popsicle gift list at your ice cream store. A free coupon comes with it, worth 10 bags.
And now for Buck Rogers and his thrilling adventures 500 years in the future. As you probably know, Buck was born right here in our own times, in this 20th century. And the story of how he got started on his amazing adventures so far in the future is mighty interesting. But instead of telling you about it, let's turn the dial that'll project us ahead in time and find out all about it that way. Now, the capital of 25th century America is Niagara. And there it is that Dr. Hewer, the great scientist, has his marvelous laboratory. In one room of it, he's working on a strange-looking device that sends a peculiar greenish light down onto a human figure lying on a table before him. Shall we join him there? Okay, then, here we go. 500 years into the future.
The ray is putting you to sleep. To sleep. Relax and sleep. 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 Good. The ray's had its effect. Now I can go ahead. Yes, come in. Oh, hello, Wilma.
Hello, Dr. Hewer. My, why don't you have more light in here? Coming in from outside, I can hardly see a thing in this spooky greenish glow.
Part of a little experiment I'm conducting.
Oh.
But tell me, have you seen anything of Black Barney here in Niagara?
Why, no. Hasn't given up his job of Prime Minister on Mars, has he?
Oh, no. But one of his Martian rocket ship factories has worked out a new control device for me. I rather hoped he'd get here with it today.
Oh.
Meantime, I've made ready for a final test of this little invention here. Like to stay and see it?
I'd love to, Doctor, and you know it, but I just dropped in to find out if you'd seen any sign. Oh.
What? What's the matter?
Doctor, what's happened to him?
Eh?
Is he all right? Doctor!
I see.
What's happened to him? Why is he lying here on the table?
Don't worry, Wilma.
Don't worry. Doctor, what are you...
He is offered to be the subject of my test. That's all.
But then, why is he...
Simply lying here, comfortably asleep, under the influence of my electro-hypnotic ray.
Oh, I was afraid something had happened to him.
Not a thing. Surely you don't think for a minute that I'd do anything
No, of course not. But the electro-hypnotic ray... Are you sure this experiment won't hurt him in any way?
Oh, absolutely sure.
Well, you can't blame me for being a little shocked for a minute. But what's that thing up near his head that looks like a miniature power plant with a loudspeaker on top of it?
That, Wilma, is my latest scientific achievement. My newly perfected electro-hypno-mentalophone.
Your what?
Well, you remember the mentaloscope, don't you?
Oh, sure. When you put a person under the mentaloscope, all his memories showed up on a sort of moving picture screen.
That's right. And this is an adaptation of it.
Oh.
With this, the electro-hypno-mentalophone, the memories of the subject will come to us verbally, through the loudspeaker here. Provided, of course, that my calculations have been correct.
Sort of read a person's mind aloud, you mean?
Yes, that's it exactly.
Where do you ever get ideas for things like this, Dr. Hewer? Surely people don't just barge in and ask you to work them out.
Hardly. The scientific research and experimentation that led up to the development of this machine was started way back in the 20th century.
Why, I always thought that the people back in the 20th century weren't much better than savages in what they knew about scientific things.
Oh, not at all, Wilma. Oh, we owe a great deal to the scientists of those days. Were it not for the groundwork laid by men like Einstein, Fitzgerald, Compton, Millikan, and the rest, we'd be without a great many of the things we have today.
They never really gone anywhere with rocket ship development or anything like that, so did they?
Well, successful rocket flight depends on two things that have been brought into existence only recently.
One of them must be a neutron.
Yes, a neutron. The material that defies gravity and makes it possible to lift a big spaceship off the Earth and away from its terrific gravitational pull without too much waste of power.
And what's the other?
Impervium. The only metal capable of withstanding the high temperature of rocket blasts for any length of time.
Oh.
But now, let's go ahead with this experiment.
Yes, let's. And you can tell me how this apparatus works as we go along, and just what it does to them.
Well, there's not very much to tell you about the apparatus itself, Wilma, except that here, in this little pad under his head, is an extremely sensitive and high-frequency response piezoelectric oscillator of quite complicated design.
Yes, I guess so.
Yes. And I've succeeded in tuning it to receive the minute electronic impulses that emanate from his brain.
Yeah?
Through the medium of a super-radiating protonoformer.
Oh, yes, Oh, what?
In other words, we're able to obtain sufficient amplification of the impulse output to register audibly through a process of thermionic note magnification. That's all there is to it.
I think I'll understand it better when I see this thing work.
I should be very much disappointed if it doesn't.
Oh, don't you worry about that, Doctor. Your inventions always work.
I have been rather lucky in most of my experiments, haven't I?
Lucky.
Well, now let's proceed with this one.
All right. Anything I can do to help?
No, thanks. First of all, we'll have to switch in the electronoformer.
Gives the electronoformer a sort of eerie sound.
Yes. And now, when I switch on this microphone and speak to him, my words will be registered directly on his brain. Not through his ears, you understand, but directly on his brain.
Uh-huh.
And if we're successful, we'll receive his subconscious response through the loudspeaker.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Now, young man, what is your name? I said, what is your name?
Buck Rogers.
Wilma, it works.
But, Doctor...
My invention's a success.
But, Doctor, what happened?
It works even better than I thought it would.
He didn't move his lips, though. And how could we hear him talk if he didn't move his lips?
It read his mind aloud, Wilma. It read his mind aloud.
It sounded like his real voice, though.
Well, of course. Because he thinks of speech in the same manner that he utters it.
Great day, it doesn't seem possible. Ask him some more questions.
Yes, by all means. Listen. Buck, you were born back in the 20th century, were you not?
Yes, sir. But this is the 25th century.
You see, Wilma, his memory's preserved intact.
May I ask him a question?
Surely, go ahead. Go ahead.
Buck, how did you happen to come to the 25th century?
One day in the year 1919, I was in the lower workings of an abandoned mine near the city of Pittsburgh.
Yes?
All of a sudden, the supports that held up the walls and ceiling gave way and the whole thing caved in on me.
Yes?
Some kind of peculiar gas was released. It put me to sleep. It kept me in a state of suspended animation for 500 years. Then the ground shifted and let in fresh air, and I woke up.
Well, how did you know you were in suspended animation for 500 years?
Instead of the year 1919, it was the year 24-something. To be exact, it was 24...
How did you know what year it was?
I was told about it by Lieutenant Wilma Deering, a beautiful girl soldier I met when I first did it.
Oh, then you knew Wilma Deering.
Well, I certainly do. She's the finest and bravest girl who ever lived. Why, Wilma...
Buck Rogers?
Yes?
Did you find anything new and different when you first came into the 25th century?
Oh, a great deal, thanks to Dr. Hewer.
Dr. Hewer?
The greatest scientist who ever lived.
What's that?
Nowhere in the universe is there a scientist who's done so much good for humanity or done anything that can even begin to compare.
Wait a minute, Buck.
Yes?
Just forget Dr. Hewer and go on with what you were saying.
But he's the man who invented the first rocket ship that took us to the moon. And it was that trip that proved the practicability of interplanetary flight.
Practicability of interplanetary flight? Nothing wrong with this machine, Doctor.
Where else have you gone by rocket ship, Buck?
First to Mars, where we helped King and Aldo put down an invasion by the Martian Tiger Men.
Yes?
Then to Saturn and the Saturnian moons, Venus, Jupiter, and even far-off Pluto.
Which planet did you find most interesting?
Well, that's hard to say. Jupiter has the biggest field for exploration simply because it's so much larger than the rest of the planets.
Very true. Do you expect to do any more rocketing around through outer space?
Well, there's nothing else I'd rather do, sir.
Well, Wilma, do you like my little contraption?
Oh, it's wonderful, Doctor. I told you it would work.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to ask Buck before I turn off this green ray?
Let's wake him up and see if he remembers anything that happened during the experiment.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. Come on, Buck. Wake up.
Huh?
I say, wake up. You've been asleep.
Sleep?
Uh-huh.
Oh, hello, Wilma.
Hello.
Hey, where'd you come from? What are you doing here?
I've just been let in on the test of Dr. Hewer's
Electro-hypno-mentalophone.
Yeah.
Oh, doggone it. Instead of helping you with your test, I fell asleep. Say, I'm awfully sorry, Doctor.
Sorry?
Oh, yes, sir. I was going to help
Buck,
you.
I put you to sleep with this machine.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Oh, I guess that's one on me, then. How did it work?
Even better than I expected.
Oh, good.
Oh, it was marvelous, Buck. You told us your whole life history without even opening your mouth.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
It's all right, Buck. You didn't say a single thing you shouldn't have.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Let's put Wilma under it.
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, you have to do something for excitement around here. Come on, Wilma.
Oh, you're never satisfied unless there's something exciting going on, are you, Buck?
Oh, it's not as bad as all that, Doctor, but things have been sort of slow around here lately. And
wait until we start making tests of the new type of gyrocosmic relativator I've just devised.
A new one?
Isn't that the equipment on a rocket ship that makes it possible to take off without much loss of time for pickup?
That's right. And without the usual physical effects of too quick acceleration. It removes from your ship the normal effects of weight and inertia and momentum and the like.
Well, how have you improved the relativator, Doctor?
Buck, if this new instrument does what I hope it will, there'll be practically no limit to the speed of a rocket ship immediately upon taking off.
Good night. Imagine getting into the control cabin, opening the power lever, and going a couple of 1,000 miles an hour just like that.
That's exactly what we'll be able to do, Wilma.
Boy, that hardly seems possible, does it? But when can we test it out, Doctor? Have you already got it installed on a rocket ship?
No, Buck. As a matter of fact, I don't even have it yet.
Huh?
Oh, it's been made up all right. The one we use for the test, but it isn't right here yet.
I don't understand, Doctor.
Well, yes, sir. Can't we get it here? The sooner we can get it and start trying it out, the sooner we can break the monotony of just sitting around here doing...
Wait, Buck. Listen.
Yes, Doctor. I hear it, too.
Well, yeah.
Hear it?
Yes, sir. But what under the sun is it?
Look here, out of the window.
Look, here's Wilma.
And it's coming right down this way. Wilma!
Say, Buck's wish for excitement certainly came true in a hurry. Great day. I wonder what that was. And I certainly hope he and Wilma and Dr. Hewer are all right. What do you say, Pete?
Well, I know what would make me feel all right. A great big frozen fudgicle. Jiminy, can you imagine anything better than that fresh, creamy chocolate fudge frozen ice cold on a stick?
Fellas and girls, what's the best, purest, biggest nickel's worth you can get? Right, a fudgicle. Delicious and full of healthful energy. Made only from pure milk products. Swell to eat and easy to digest. And don't forget to save the bags for those wonderful free prizes. Exciting gifts like cameras, dolls, sweatshirts, gorgeous jewelry, and lots of other things.
Now listen, kids. Be sure to get your free popsicle gift list at your ice cream store. Don't take no for an answer.
And Good Hot Ralston presents Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed adventure, Cadet Happy is piloting a space observatory while a scientist studies a strange phenomenon. It's an invisible force that completely destroys all matter.
Right now, Buzz Corey is in Terra the Fifth, warning Happy to veer away from the force, but too late. Out of control, the Space Observatory whirls toward the invisible menace.
Happy, can you hear me? Pull away from it.
I'm trying to, sir, but the rockets don't seem to have any effect.
Use full power on your starboard rocket.
I am, sir, but we're caught in some sort of a whirlpool.
Have hit full repeller ray. If you're caught in there, you're finished.
We'll be back in just a moment with today's Space Patrol story, The Hole in Empty Space.
Extra, read all about it. Buzz Corey offers an official Space Patrol spaceophone set to every boy and girl on Earth. Extra.
You hear that, gang? That's right. Buzz Corey will send you a real, honest-to-goodness Space Patrol spaceophone set. Sounds just like a walkie-talkie. Looks just like the spaceophone Buzz Corey himself uses. Imagine, you can talk on it to someone a straight 50 feet away. Let me show you with this spaceophone right here. Calling Bob Raitt. Can you hear me, Bob?
I'll say loud and clear.
Just like talking on the walkie-talkie and the telephone, right?
Right. I call it the magic phone you can carry anywhere.
Yes, sir. See how the spaceophone sounds, boys and girls? Just like a telephone. Just like a walkie-talkie. And lots of fun. Yes, sir. So send for your spaceophone set today. You get 2 blue and yellow plastic spaceophones. You get 50 feet of communication cord. You get a spaceophone briefing sheet. Now, here's all you do to get the entire set. Buy a box of Instant Ralston. Then, with your name and address, send 25 cents in coin and an Instant Ralston box top to Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. This offer good only in continental U.S. and may be withdrawn at any time. That's Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Space Patrol, with its well-trained personnel, has a very high morale. Disciplinary action is rarely necessary. In fact, a serious infraction of important regulations is so unusual that Commander Corey himself insists on a personal accounting from the man involved. Right now, Buzz is reading a report from the Commandant of the Mercury Patrol Squadron as Happy enters the central office on Terra.
Commander.
Yes, Happy?
Lieutenant Grayson's waiting in the outer office.
Oh, thanks. Ask him to come in, please.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Grayson, Commander Corey wants to see you.
I'll call you when I'm through here, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Commander? At ease, Lieutenant. Sit down. Yes, sir. You have an exceptionally fine record. I've been looking it over, and so far I can find no explanation for your behavior of the last few hours.
I'm sorry, Commander.
Is that all you have to say?
Except that I'm ready to take the brainograph test.
Lieutenant, it shouldn't be necessary to resort to the brainograph to obtain a routine report from a Space Patrol officer.
I realize that, sir.
You returned from a routine search mission, 3 hours overdue and with ammunition expended, yet you refused to offer any explanation.
Those are the facts, Commander.
I want a straightforward answer. Why didn't you file a report with your commanding officer?
Commander, Colonel Gregory is a practical officer. He goes strictly by regulations, by routine.
That's hardly a criticism, Lieutenant.
I realize that, sir. But if I told Colonel Gregory what happened out there, he'd conclude that I was, well, space happy.
You're not responsible for the conclusions of your commanding officer.
In all due respect, Commander, in this case, I'm not so sure.
What do you mean?
Something's out there in space that regulations don't cover. Commander, I want a brainograph test so I can be sure of myself, sure that my mind isn't playing tricks on me.
Grayson, suppose you tell me the whole story.
All right, Commander. I was about to head back for Mercury when I saw a meteor. I tracked it on the viewscope to see if it was headed toward any shipping lanes.
Yes?
It was still pretty big on the screen when it suddenly vanished.
Exploded?
No, sir, just vanished. I started after it and checked for fragments. There weren't any. It was just as though the meteor disappeared into a hole in space.
A hole in space?
I know it doesn't make sense, but that's the only way I can describe it. Nothing showed up on the viewscope. I tried both the ultraviolet and infrared scanners. Nothing.
What about the cosmic missiles you fired?
I swung in a wide circle around the point where the meteor disappeared. Suddenly, a black spot appeared on the sun, as though a planet were between me and the sun, an eclipse.
But it wasn't a planet?
No, Commander. There was no planet within thousands of DUs. There was nothing, no solid object to account for that spot.
Well, maybe it was on the sun itself.
No, because it moved across the sun in relation to the movement of my ship. That's when I fired the cosmic missiles.
What happened?
The missiles vanished.
Without an explosion?
Without an explosion.
Lieutenant, that's the strangest story I ever heard.
You don't believe me?
I didn't say that. I think your account deserves further investigation. You should have told Colonel Gregory.
He'd have put me in the infirmary for mental and emotional checkup. I figured I'd get a brainograph test sooner if I risked disciplinary action. And I was right. He sent me here to Terra immediately.
That isn't a very wise risk to take, Grayson.
Commander, that thing in space, whatever it is moving. Moving toward the inner planets.
Can you point out the location where you saw it on that wall chart?
Yes, sir. It was approaching the Mercury orbit on a line from the star Myra. About here, sir.
How fast was it moving?
It seemed to vary, but at the time I wasn't in any condition to make accurate measurements. I thought I was going space happy for certain.
Are you ready for that brainograph test?
Yes, sir.
Then come on.
Oh, excuse me, sir.
Happy, will you get Major Robertson? I want to run a brainograph test.
Yes, sir. Oh, here's a top priority bulletin from communications, sir. A robot space freighter vanished.
What do you mean, vanished?
Well, it suddenly pulled off course. 2 passenger ships tracked it. It swung in a wide circle, then smaller and smaller circles, and then just disappeared. Not a trace on the viewscopes.
Where did this happen?
Midway between Mercury and Venus, sir. On an orientation line with Myra.
Lieutenant Grayson, I think we'll cancel that brainograph test. Happy.
Yes, sir.
Get my ship ready immediately. I'll notify Colonel Gregory that Lieutenant Grayson is assigned to temporary duty with headquarters.
Thank you, sir.
As aspirator aboard Terra 5.
Commander, we're out beyond the point where the robot freighter vanished.
Very good, Lieutenant. Happy established a zigzag course toward the sun.
Yes, sir.
We'll lace back and forth across the line between the sun and Myra. Reduce our velocity to 10,000 DUs.
Right, sir. All viewscopes negative, Commander.
What's our approximate position, Grayson?
In a few minutes, we'll cross the Venus orbit, sir.
This is the craziest search I've ever been on, Commander. Looking for something that isn't here.
It's there, all right. It just doesn't show up on any instruments. If you could have seen that meteor vanish and those missiles...
No, wait. There's something moving across the sun.
A black spot.
That's it. We've located it.
Now, let's be certain. Check the viewscope, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Does anything register?
Nothing except the sun itself.
Reverse rockets while I turn on the spacephone, Happy. We'll hold our present position for the time being. Commander Corey in Terra 5 to Major Robertson at Space Patrol Headquarters, Terra. Commander Corey to Major Robertson.
Major Robertson here. Go ahead, Commander.
Robbie, we're at the Venus orbit, Sun-Myra orientation. We've found what we're looking for.
What is it?
We don't know. It's visible only as a black spot against the sun. And it definitely is not a solid object.
Well, I've contacted Professor Jelka for you, Commander. He's aboard Space Observatory number 2 off Saturn.
Good. Robbie, spacephone and all planets bulletin immediately. All shipping is to avoid this sector of space until further notice.
Yes, Commander.
All commercial, private, and space patrol ships are to evacuate this sector immediately.
Roger. Well, Professor Jelka is waiting on the 150 megacycle channel, Commander.
Thanks, Robbie. Corey out. Happy switch to 150 MCs.
Yes, sir.
Commander Corey aboard Terra 5 calling Professor Jelka aboard Space Observatory number 2.
Professor Jelka here. Go ahead, Commander.
Professor, have you detected any unusual phenomenon in space the last few days in the direction of Myra?
No, Commander.
There's something out there, now within the orbit of Venus. It's not a solid object, but it cuts off light from the sun.
Well, it's possibly a cloud of gas or tiny particles.
Too sharp an outline, Professor. Besides, things like meteors, cosmic missiles, and spaceships just don't disappear permanently in a gas cloud.
Did you say disappear?
Vanish completely, without an explosion or a trace.
Commander, I must have a chance to study this thing at once. I think I know what it is.
It's got us baffled. What is it?
I call it a cycloplex.
Cycloplex?
I wrote a paper about it 12 years ago, purely as a theoretical idea.
This is no theory. It exists.
This is marvelous, Commander. With your permission, I pull the Space Observatory out of the orbit around Saturn and head for your present location.
Well, good. No ordinary instruments register it. You might have some that will. Set your vector for Pluto. Where that vector crosses the orbit of Venus, you'll roughly be at our position.
Thank you, Commander. I'll contact you when I'm on the vector.
Good. Corey out.
Well, at least there's one man in the solar system who seems to have an idea what this thing is.
I hope so. But what's more important, I hope he'll know what to do about it.
I've got the observatory in the viewscope, sir. It's only a few DUs away.
A very good time, considering. Turn on the spacephone, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Corey aboard Terra 5 calling Professor Jelka.
Jelka here. Go ahead, Commander.
We've picked up the observatory in the viewscope. Have you located us?
Yes, Commander, but I can't detect the cycloplex. I've used several types of detection devices.
You'll see the black disk against the sun in a few minutes. We'll join space locks with you and come aboard the observatory.
Very good, Commander.
Corey out. Grayson,
Yes, sir? Well, Happy and I handle the controls. You watch that black spot. If it moves away from the sun, let me know. Right, Commander.
We're abreast of the observatory airlock, sir.
Good. Stand by with magnetic holding field.
Standing by, sir.
Corey to Joker.
Go ahead, Commander.
Professor, hold your space observatory on an even vector. We're going to make contact.
Yes, Commander.
Apply magnetic holding field, Happy.
Space lock secured, sir.
Lieutenant Grayson, keep an eye on the controls. Happy and I will enter the observatory.
Yes, sir.
Open the inner hatch, Happy. Press the release catch in the observatory hull.
Come in, Commander. This is the most thrilling moment of my life.
Professor Jelka, it's about the most puzzling moment of mine. Now, this is my cadet, Happy.
How do you do, Professor?
How do you do? I tell you, Commander, this is a cycloplex, just as I described it 12 years ago. They really do exist.
Fine, Professor, but tell me, just what is a cycloplex?
Well, you might call it a hole in space.
That's just the way Grayson described it.
Grayson?
Lieutenant Grayson, the Space Patrol officer who discovered it. Professor, this cycloplex has already destroyed a meteor, 2 cosmic missiles, and a robot spaceship. That's moving toward the inner planets. If it holds its present direction and velocity, Mars will move right into it in a few days.
That would indeed be a calamity.
What's the nature of this thing? What happens to objects that move into it?
Well, they are transported into other dimensions, or perhaps into a matrix of several dimensions.
Well, they cease to exist in space as we know it, that's certain.
Yes. For years, mathematicians have speculated on the possibility of many separate dimensions existing simultaneously. I'd like to circle around it and study it some more, or to maneuver the observatory and still manage the instruments.
Well, Commander, the controls are very much like standard spaceship controls. Couldn't I work them while the professor handles the instruments?
That would be splendid.
All right, Happy, you maneuver the observatory. I'll go back to our ship with Grayson. We'll keep you informed as nearly as we can on the location of the cycloplex. Commander, they're getting pretty close. I'll tell Happy to be careful. Commander Corey to Cadet Happy.
Happy here. Go ahead, sir.
You're veering pretty close to the cycloplex, Happy. Change your vector.
The professor wants me to hold it on this heading, sir. His instruments are beginning to pick up something.
Remember what happened to that robot spaceship, Cadet?
But this isn't a robot, and the instruments are picking up something. We are on the verge of an exciting discovery, Commander. According to my
Well, right now, Professor, I'm relying on Grayson. He's had practical experience with this thing. Happy, this is an order. Pull away from the cycloplex.
Yes, sir.
Look at the observatory. It's whirling toward it. Happy, pull away from it.
I'm trying to, sir, but the rockets don't seem to have any effect.
Use full power on your starboard rocket.
I am, but we're caught in some sort of a whirlpool.
Pat, hit full repeller ray. If you're caught in that cycloplex, you're finished.
We'll be back with Space Patrol in just a moment. Hi, gang. Space Patroller Dick Tufeld speaking from the planet Earth. Today I'm doing a man-on-the-street report. Going to see what some of these young fellows here on their way to school think about those 3 checkerboard super cereals, Rice Chex, Wheat Chex, and Instant Ralston. Now, here's a sharp-looking lad. Tell me, what did you say the very first time you tried delicious Wheat Chex, that bite-sized super cereal spun out of shredded wheat?
What did I say? I said,
Enough said, thank you. Now, here's a fine-looking boy. What do you think of Rice Chex, the bite-sized super cereal made of crisp and crunchy shredded rice? What did you say, for example, the very first time you tried it? Thank you, that's good enough for me. And here's another young man. Tell me, what's your opinion of Instant Ralston, the hot super cereal?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
There you are, gang. That's what these fellows think about the checkerboard super cereals. The only 3 official cereals of the Space Patrol. Try them yourself. You'll say the same thing.
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
Get them at your grocers today in the red and white checkerboard packages. The super cereals that help to supercharge you Rice Chex, Wheat Chex, and to warm up your motor, good hot Ralston. A Space Patrol officer, Lieutenant Grayson, has discovered an alarming peril in outer space. An invisible force that completely destroys matter without leaving a trace. Professor Jelka, an astronomer and mathematician, says this force, which he calls a cycloplex, is actually a hole in outer space. Happy, piloting the space observatory for the professor, flew in too close to the strange force. Now the observatory is being whirled closer and closer to disaster. Meantime, Commander Corey and Lieutenant Grayson, in Terror the Fifth, are trying desperately to find a way to save Happy and Professor Jelka.
Happy, is your repeller ray on full?
Yes, sir. All rockets on the starboard side and stern as well.
The observatory is being pulled faster than ever toward the cycloplex.
Jelka never should have ordered Happy to go so close. The observatories have a very low power ratio in proportion to their mass, Grayson. We can only give it a boost with our own power.
You mean make magnetic contact with the observatory?
Yes.
Great idea, Commander.
You realize what'll happen if we fail.
I'm waiting your orders, Commander.
Then let's go. You handle the magnetic holding field, Grayson.
Yes, sir.
Commander, what are you doing?
Going to tow you away from the cycloplex.
Don't try it, sir. There's some sort of a whirlpool effect. A vortex, the professor calls it.
Terra 5 may have enough power to pull itself and the observatory out of danger.
But, sir, you can't.
The sooner we act, the better chance we'll all have. Stand by for orders.
Standing by, sir.
We're ready to make contact, Happy. Grayson, apply magnetic holding field.
Yes, sir.
All right, Happy. Keep the observatory rockets on full power.
Yes, sir.
We're going to increase our own power slowly at first. We won't try to fight the cycloplex force too strongly. We'll cut across at a tangent, understand?
Yes, Commander.
Here we go.
Is it working, Commander?
I can't tell yet. Happy.
Yes, sir.
As I increase the ship's power, it'll put a terrific strain on the hull of the observatory. Watch for any sign of damage.
I will, Commander.
There's that sound again. What is it?
Coming from the spaceophone system. Happy, do you hear it?
Yes, sir. You're picking it up from the professor's instruments. He says it's caused by the cycloplex.
Commander, our vector's changing. We're moving away from the cycloplex.
We'll add a little more power. Happy, did the professor turn off his instruments?
No, sir.
Then we're free of the cycloplex pull.
That's right, sir. We're swinging away in the other direction.
Good.
Wow. What a relief.
Happy, we'll proceed several DUs away from this position until we're sure we're safe before we break contact.
Yes, sir.
Then we'll join space locks and come aboard the observatory. Got it?
Yes, Commander. I'll maintain vector till further orders.
Check. Corey out.
Come in, Commander.
How did the observatory stand up under that pull?
Well, apparently quite well.
Smoking rockets, Commander. For a while there, I thought we were all going to plunge right into the core of that cycloplex.
I thought so, too, Happy. Professor, did you manage to find out anything about this phenomenon?
Very little. Although it did finally activate some of the instruments.
Exactly what is it, this force?
I can't say. Apparently, this vortex, the whirlpool effect, is some sort of an electromagnetism. And that might account for its effect on the instruments.
And this whirlpool effect extends beyond the core.
Yes, it draws the objects into the center if they get too close.
We sure found that out.
And we also know that this force is moving steadily toward Mars.
We've got to get busy and do something.
Well, is this cycloplex big enough to swallow a whole planet?
What about that, Professor?
Well, the core itself is fairly small. But with that vortex of force around it, it might easily demolish Mars. Certainly, it would make it unlivable.
Well, how can we fight this cycloplex? Every force we know of has some other force that can oppose it.
But this thing is from some other dimension, Commander. It's an intruder into our space-time system.
You mean it isn't even from another galaxy? From another part of our space?
Yes, it's completely new to us, Cadet.
It's impossible to imagine dimensions beyond the three we know: length, breadth, and thickness. Professor, you mentioned that it has some sort of magnetic effect.
That's right.
Suppose we could produce a powerful magnetic force to oppose it.
It would take more power than any planet power system could produce. And how could we transfer it here?
Professor, you've heard of Huddleston's ring, haven't you?
Yes. Very interesting effect.
What's Huddleston's ring, sir?
It makes use of an effect that occurs at temperatures close to absolute zero.
Oh, like those of outer space?
Exactly. Extremely low temperatures, some metals become superconductors of electricity.
Superconductors?
They have no resistance to the flow of current.
That means if a current is started in a ring made of a superconducting material, it flows indefinitely.
Even when the power's cut off?
Right. And if the power is constantly applied, the current builds up. It increases more and more.
Oh, I see.
A scientist named Huddleston has been conducting experiments with a giant ring in outer space near Jupiter.
Yes. He has a laboratory spaceship in the center of the ring.
Suppose that Huddleston turns the power on full, charging that ring and the magnets around it, and keeps the power on. Would it destroy the cycloplex?
Perhaps it would be dangerous. A magnetic force of incredible intensity would be built up. There is no telling.
Professor, I want to send Huddleston's ring into that cycloplex. Under robot control, naturally.
Well, Professor, do you think it would work?
I don't know. But it's a challenging experiment. If it did, it would prove that electromagnetism is a force common to all dimensions of existence.
Right now, I'm not interested in proving any theory. I want to save Mars. Happy, let's get back to Terra 5. I want to contact Huddleston.
Cycloplex seems to be moving steadily toward Mars, Commander.
Keep the ship moving with it, Grayson. Keep that black circle right in the center of the sun.
Yes, sir.
Major Robertson, Space Patrol Headquarters, Terra, calling Commander Corey aboard Terra 5.
I'll take it. Happy to hand me that vector analysis, please.
Here you are, sir.
Corey, here, Robbie. Go ahead.
We've contacted Huddleston, Commander. He's all enthused over the idea.
Oh, good. How long will it take him to get the ring on the way? Or does he have to convert the controls to robot?
No, a robot unit was built into the ship. Huddleston's in the ring waiting for your instructions.
Well, here's the procedure, Robbie. Huddleston will pull out of the orbit around Jupiter under manual control.
Check.
When he's on the vector, which I give you in a minute, a Space Patrol cruiser will pick him up in space. Huddleston will handle the ring and its lab ship by remote control until we pick it up on our view scope.
Got it, Commander.
Then I'll take control of the ring from that point on. Okay, Robbie. Now, here's the vector I want you to relay to Huddleston.
Nothing on the view scope yet, sir.
Widen the scanning arc, Happy. The lab ship may be slightly off vector.
Yes, sir.
Commander.
Yes, Grayson.
Cycloplex seems to be increasing velocity.
Any change in vector?
No, sir.
I'll check with Professor Jelka. Corey to Jelka in observatory.
Jelka here. Go ahead, Commander.
Lieutenant Grayson reports an increase of velocity by the cycloplex.
He's right, Commander. My calculations confirm it.
Is it still heading toward Mars?
Yes, Commander.
Is there any possibility of its changing direction?
I'm afraid its motion is unpredictable. We don't know enough about it.
Well, that's all, Professor. Thank you.
Commander, look at the view scope. I never saw an image like that before.
It isn't very clear, Happy. See if you can get rid of that blur.
I'll try it, sir. No, sir. That's as clear as I can get it.
I'll check with Robbie. Commander Corey to Major Robertson.
Robertson here. Go ahead, Commander.
We've picked something up in the view scope, but it doesn't look like Huddleston's ring and lab ship.
You got a blurred blotch?
Yes.
Now, that's the ring, Commander. I've been tracking it from Jupiter. Huddleston says your screen's blur is a tremendous magnetic force.
Right, Robbie. I'm ready to take over control of the ring. It's now 14:20 and 15 seconds, universal start time. Tell Huddleston the switchover will occur at 14:21. Corey out.
The ring's approaching very fast, Commander.
The robot control panel's ready, sir.
Fine, Grayson. Happy you take over our controls.
Yes, sir.
Grayson, feed the viewscope data into the vector computer.
Yes, sir.
I want to get the ring headed for the target as soon as possible after switchover. It might be hard to control if that magnetic force builds up much higher.
10 seconds to switch over.
Trajectory computed, Commander.
Thanks, Grayson.
5 seconds. 3, 0.
Now we'll find out if we've got the ring under control. Watch the viewscope, Grayson. See if the ring turns in the new vector.
It's responding, Commander.
Good. It's heading straight for the cycloplex now. Nothing to do but wait and hope it works. A few more seconds, we'll know.
Yeah, Huddleston's ring is practically in the outer field of the vortex now.
Nothing's happening, though.
Wait. The blur on the lab ship seems to be dimming.
It's as though the cycloplex were choking down the magnetism.
Look, you can see the outline of the ring now, and the lab ship.
I'm afraid it's not going to work, Commander. The power of the cycloplex is too strong.
Wow, look at that. The lab ship just flew apart.
The ring is still intact.
The blur's building up again.
Magnetic force pulled the ship apart.
The ring's in the black circle now. Golly, something's happening.
It's a battle of magnetic forces.
The black circle is growing smaller.
It sure is. It's shrinking rapidly.
If that ring can hold up long enough,
the cycloplex is just a black dot. It's gone. The cycloplex is gone, Commander. It worked.
Whew. Look at the viewscope, man. Huddleston's ring is still there.
Thanks to you, Commander. It saved a planet.
It took all of us. Enter the story in our logbook, Happy.
Yes, sir.
What a mission to describe. We've just filled in a hole in empty space.
Hey, maybe I should make the log entry in invisible ink.
We'll be back with an exciting preview of next week's thrilling Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Hey, it's got things popping everywhere. It's setting the world on fire. It's even stopping traffic. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Space Patrol Spaceophone, and I'm going to tell you how to get a set. A set complete with 2 spacephones, 50 feet of communication cord, and an official briefing sheet on spacephoning. What an offer! What an invention! The magic phone you can carry everywhere. Sounds like the walkie-talkie in the telephone. Barrels of fun. You can talk to someone standing a straight 50 feet away. Now, I'll show you with this spaceophone here. Hello, Commander Corey.
Hi, Dick. Hi, gang. Aren't these spacephones terrific? You can play Space Patrol with them just as though you were a real space patroller living up here on Terra.
Yes, sir, gang. Your spaceophone will look exactly like the one space patrollers use. Only yours will be even more terrific because they're a special model made for use on Earth alone. And good-looking, too. Handsome blue and yellow plastic.
Now, don't wait. Send for your spaceophone set today.
Complete with 2 spacephones, 50 feet of cord, and a briefing sheet. Now, here's all you do. Buy a box of Instant Ralston. Then, with your name and address, send 25 cents in coin and an Instant Ralston box top to Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. That's Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. And now, an action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol story. Buzz and Happy have been captured by 2 criminals and are aboard a relay space station near the Pluto orbit. While the criminals are removing a secret power unit, Buzz and Happy are locked in a passageway looking for some method of escape.
The lights. What happened to the lights?
They must have disconnected the Cosmolite power unit.
They'll be coming through the passage in a minute to get us, Commander.
They won't need to, Happy. Stecker has already figured out how he's going to get rid of us.
How?
When they get back into their ship, they're going to leave the relay station airlock open.
What?
In a few seconds, this passage will be a complete vacuum. Every bit of air will escape into space.
Be sure to be with us next Saturday for the exciting story, The Glowworm Project, when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston again bring you Space Patrol! And now, a special message from Commander Corey.
Boys and girls, this is your commander. I'm now holding an important bottle. When empty, it's worth very little. When filled, it's the most valuable bottle in the world. I mean, when it's filled with the greatest gift one person can give to another, his own blood. America has millions of these bottles to fill, and any grown-up can fill them. So, gang, will you help me get that message across to every grown-up in the USA? Then do this. Join the Space Patrol Blood Boosters now.
Space Patrol, an original Mike Moser production starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, directed by Larry Robertson. Other players were Bela Kovach, Ken Mayer, Dick Beals, and Norman Jolly. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston again present the new exciting Space Patrol. And be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. Space Patrol comes to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.